Sit with this for a moment. Every person you know is quietly having the same conversation inside themselves. One voice says, "Be careful." The other says, "Try anyway." Most people think one of those voices is the enemy. This story is about two people who learned that neither one was. Their names were Elias and Rowan. They grew up on the same street, under the same sky, watching the same town fall asleep every night, like it had already decided what it would never become. As kids, they were inseparable. They shared snacks, secrets, and those big teenage promises that feel unbreakable at the time. But even back then, you could see the difference. Elias noticed cracks in the sidewalk and learned how to step around them. Rowan jumped over them just to see if they could. Elias wanted a life that didn't collapse. Rowan wanted a life that didn't feel small. Both wanted peace. They just imagined it differently. As they got older, the world got heavier. The factory closed, parents started whispering instead of laughing. Dreams were suddenly described as impractical, like that was a medical condition, instead of fear in a nicer outfit. One evening, Rowan showed up with a single backpack and shaking hands. "There's an opportunity," Rowan said, "in another city." Elias didn't answer right away. He looked around at the house, the street, the familiar weight of responsibility. "That's risky," Elias said finally. Rowan nodded. "I know you could fail. I know you could come back with nothing." Rowan paused, then said softly, "I could also come back as someone I've never met." That was the first real separation. Rowan left. Elias stayed. Not because Elias was weak, but because someone had to hold things together. Bills don't care about dreams. Illness doesn't wait for courage. Elias became dependable, steady, necessary. Rowan became uncertain, restless, alive. But here's what no one tells you. Brave choices don't feel brave when you're inside them. Rowan's first year nearly broke them. The job fell through. Money disappeared faster than pride. Nights were spent staring at unfamiliar ceilings, asking questions no one could answer. "If I was so brave," Rowan whispered once into the dark, "why does this feel like punishment?" At the same time, Elias was fighting a quieter war. Caring for a sick parent, working extra shifts, saying maybe someday so often, it started to sound like a lie. Elias would sit alone after midnight, scrolling through messages from Rowan, feeling proud and resentful and scared. What if I chose wrong, Elias thought. What if being careful is just fear in disguise? Years passed like that, not dramatically. Slowly, the way real life moves. Then came the night everything cracked open. Rowan called home, voice shaking, words falling over each other. "I don't think I can keep doing this." Elias listened, really listened. Not to fix, not to judge. "You don't have to quit," Elias said. "But you don't have to keep suffering to prove you're brave either." The line went quiet. That night, something shifted for both of them. Rowan realized courage without direction can become self-destruction. Elias realized caution without movement can become a cage. They didn't switch lives, they adjusted. Rowan took a smaller job, learned patience, built skill, slowly, humbly. Elias enrolled in a night class, spoke up at work, allowed desire back into the room. Fear didn't leave either of them, but it stopped driving. Years later, they met again, in the same town, at the same cafe, under the same sky. But they weren't the same people. Rowan looked calmer. Elias looked lighter. They walked the old streets together, laughing at how dramatic they used to be. "I thought courage meant never stopping," Rowan said. "I thought being careful meant never starting," Elias replied. They stood there quietly for a moment, realizing something important. Fear hadn't ruined them. Fear had taught them timing. They understood now that fear's job was never to stop. Them it was to ask better questions. Is this worth it? Are you prepared? Who are you becoming? And courage wasn't loud anymore. Courage was steady. Courage said, "Yes, and we'll do this wisely." In the end, Elias built a life that was stable and meaningful. Rowan built a life that was exciting and sustainable. No grand victory, no dramatic escape, just fulfillment. And here's the part that matters to you. You don't have to kill your fear to live well. You don't have to choose bravery forever or caution forever. The happiest ending comes when you stop asking, which one should I be? And start asking, which one do I need right now? Because when fear and courage walk together, life doesn't just move forward, it finally feels like home.